Will come to order. Chair recognizes the Majority Leader from Sedgwick, Senator Blasey.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate suspend Joint Rule 4K to consider the following bills: Senate Bill 430, House Bill 2535, Senate Bill 300, and House Bill 2029.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Messages from the House. Clerk will read.
The House adopts the Conference Committee report on HB 2043. The House adopts the Conference Committee report on HB 2044. The House adopts the Conference Committee report on HB 2515. The House adopts the Conference Committee report on sub-bill for HB 2111. The House adopts the Conference Committee report on SB 300. The House adopts the Conference Committee report on SB 430.
Introduction of bills and concurrent resolutions. Clerk will read.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 1626 by Senators Masterson, Blasey, and Sykes. A concurrent resolution relating to the adjournment sine die of the Senate and the House of Representatives during the 2026 regular session of the Legislature. Be it resolved by the Senate of the State of Kansas, the House of Representatives concurring therein, that the Legislature shall adjourn sine die at the close of business of the daily session convened on April 10th, 2026, and be it further resolved that the members of the Legislature attending a meeting of the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules and Regulations and the Education Funding Task Force held in April 2026 shall receive compensation, travel expenses, and subsistence allowances as provided by law, notwithstanding the provisions of Section 26 of 2026 House Bill number 2513.
This constitutes introduction of SCR 1626. Chair recognizes the Majority Leader from Sedgwick, Senator Blasey.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move an emergency be declared, the rules suspended, and Senate Concurrent Resolution 1626 be adopted by voice vote.
For the motion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Conference Committee reports. Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson on HB 2763.
Thank you, Mr. President. House Bill 2763 would establish minimum requirements for recess in public schools and include such time in school term calculations beginning in the 2027-28 school year, and direct the State Board of Education to establish a Kansas State physical fitness test. In conference, we removed the portion of Senate Bill 339 to take out the food additive in school lunches. And with that, I move the Senate adopt the Conference Committee report on House Bill 2763.
For the motion and explanation, questions for the Senator from Sedgwick? Seeing none, we will hold for final action. We're going to move to the Senator from Sherman, Senator Billinger on HB 2029.
Thank you, Mr. President. HB 2029 would reconcile amendments to statutes that were amended more than once during the current or prior legislative sessions. For such statutes, the bill would repeal one version and, if necessary, amend the continuing version for non-contradictory amendments, creating a single version of the statute containing the amendments. I stand for questions.
Can you make the motion on the report?
I move the Senate adopt the Conference Committee report on HB 2029.
For the motion and explanation, questions for the Senator from Sherman? Seeing none, we'll hold for final action. We'll move to the Senator from Shawnee, Senator Dietrich on Senate Bill 300.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 300 is contains two House bills. Previously, it was House Bill 2773. It was a single factor apportionment bill. It passed the House 116-8 on March 18th, and it was sent to Senate Tax on March 20th. The chamber brought the bill to us because there's a specific sector in Kansas, alcohol manufacturers, who were unintentionally carved out of last year's bill and were unable to utilize that single factor apportionment. So the provisions of the bill set some parameters for the alcohol manufacturers, and there was no fiscal impact from the Kansas Department of Revenue. This would only apply to 5 or fewer corporate income tax filers in Kansas. So the second bill that was that this Senate Bill 300 CCR contains is House Bill 2642. This is a bill that was placed on the consent calendar in the House. It was passed unanimously, and it's just to repeal some obsolete statutory language that refers to global intangible low-taxed income in our statute. When Congress passed the One Big Beautiful Bill, Kansas specifically mentioned the global intangible low-tax income and not the specific IRS tax code. So we're one of 4 states who needed to decouple, and that's all that this bill does. I will stand for questions. Oh, and I move that the Senate adopt the conference committee report on Senate Bill 300.
For the motion and explanation, questions for Senator from Shawnee, Senator from Lynn, Senator Tyson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to make it clear to this body that the single factor apportionment was legislation that came to us, not surprisingly, late from the House last year, and we accepted it in conference committee on their honor. And so that single factor apportionment was not something that reflects on this body, and it was something that needs to be handled for our Kansas companies. So thank you, Mr. President.
Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, we will hold for final action. Move to Senator from Johnson, Senator Gossage on SB 430.
Thank you, Mr. President. SB 430 is another reconciliation bill that is regarding 5 bills that were signed by the governor. 2 of them are regarding theft that were put together, 2413 and 2347. 2 of them are on expungement, which is 2323 and 2393. And the 5th one, again, all of these were signed by the governor, is commonly called the Kratom Bill, House Bill 2365. It was discovered that there was a revisor error, and this 430 corrects that error. And I move the Senate adopt the conference committee report on Senate Bill 430.
Heard the motion explanation. Questions for the Senator from Johnson? Seeing none, we will hold for final action. We are now ready for final action. On this roll call, we will take the following. Conference committee reports on HB 2763, 2029, SB 300, and 430. Clerk will read the titles.
House Bill 2029, current title, an act concerning roads and highways. Pending title, an act reconciling multiple amendments to certain statutes. House Bill 2763, current title, an act concerning health professions and practices. Pending title, an act concerning education. Senate Bill 300, an act concerning financial institutions. Senate Bill 430, an act concerning health and health professions.
Clerk will call the roll.
Alley. Argabright. Billinger. Blasey. Lou. Bowers. Bowser. Clays. Clifford. Corson. Dietrich. Erickson. Fagg. Falscadeau. Francisco. Gossage. Haley. Hill. Holscher. Klemp. Cluse. Masterson. Miller. Murphy. Owens. Peck. Peterson. Petty. Rose. Reichman. Schmidt. Schellenberger. Shane. Starnes. Sykes. Thomas. Thompson. Titus. Tyson. Warren.
Has every senator had an opportunity to vote? Does any member wish to explain their vote? Senator from Johnson, Senator Corson.
Thank you, Mr. President. No on 2763, aye on the remainder.
Senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. President. Aye to no on 2763.
So ordered. Senator from Wyandotte, Senator Haley.
And no to aye on 430 is the fix, you know. Thank you.
Senator from Johnson, Senator Holscher.
No on 2763, aye on the remainder.
Any further changes? Explanations? Seeing none, clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Twenty-nine having voted in favor and 10 opposed the passage of House Bill 2763, 39 in favor and 0 opposed to House Bill 2029, 38 in favor, none opposed to Senate Bill 430, 39 in favor and none opposed to Senate Bill 300. These measures, having received the required constitutional majority, are hereby declared passed. Before recessing, are there announcements? We'll stand at ease for just a minute. We're going to come back to order, and while we're waiting, since it's our last day, we've passed the adjournment resolution. We'll do some thank yous, and I'm going to start with the minority leader, our birthday girl, and see what she wants to. Senator from Johnson, Senator Sykes.
Thank you, Mr. President. So thank you for letting me spend my birthday with you. It will go down as one in history.
I'm sorry, it's going to be the whole day.
It will be a start. So as we come to the end of this 2026 legislation, I just want to say thank you to my Democratic colleagues for allowing me to be your leader. It is a true honor. And I am thankful for our leadership team, Senator Faustido, our assistant leader, Senator Holscher, our whip, our agenda chair, Senator Francisco, and our caucus chair, Senator Corson. To my staff, I am thankful for you, even though I voted today not to pay you after July 1st. Corey, you have been with me from the beginning, and I can't imagine doing this job without you. So I so much appreciate you, and you are a true friend, so thank you. To Kenna, you have been such a great addition to our office, and I can't believe she just graduated from college, or she finished in December and will actually walk in May, and she has been amazing and done an excellent job, more than just comms. She's really grasped everything. So, Tyler, honored to have you as the legislative director. He came in as an intern for me last year and has hit the ground running, and he also brings us humor, and both of these two are the same age as my kids, and that makes me feel even older, even though today is my birthday and adding another year. But really honored to be with you, and you keep me young, so thank you. To Ms. Campbell, who she is thankfully gone because she should not be here this late, but she is a true legend, and I can't imagine the Capitol without Ms. Campbell. She is in her 80s, and the wealth of knowledge that she has and the friends is actually in Atchison on Tuesday, and someone said, "Is Ms. Campbell still there?" And I said, "Yes," and she's my assistant. So, to my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, thank you for your collaboration. Good things can happen when we work together, and we proved that this year. It has been a tough session, but we did pass PBM reform, and we passed a permanent chip fix, and we passed a bell-to-bell cell phone ban to address our students' mental health and academic needs. So thank you to each of you who choose to set aside those partisan politics and put Kansans first. To my Ty, you know you are like a big brother to me. And I was reminded of that when I talked to my brother when I was eating a piece of pizza in our last recess. So much similarities.
I like him very much.
Tim, you have been an enjoyment to bring in this, and you are the crazy uncle, and sometimes I love you, and sometimes you drive me nuts, but it is great. Chase, you are the little brother that I never had, and I do cherish our relationship and the friendship. Thank you. Finally, well, not finally, because the legislative research, revisers, LAS, our office assistants, sergeant of arms, and guards, secretary of the Senate, and staff, custodial, press corps, everyone that makes the legislature and the State House run, thank you. Finally, I do want to say thank you to the Kansans who have emailed, testified, and called on behalf of your communities. Your voices are vital to shaping the work that we do here. Public service is not just about the work that we do within these walls. It's about responding to the needs and concerns that we serve. And I hope when the Senate returns next year, we make the legislative process more transparent so Kansans like you can follow our work and engage in the process. So thank you for making your voices heard and reminding us all why we are here. Thank you. It's been an epic 2026 session.
Majority Leader Blasey.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to first by saying thank you to our caucus. You know, we have 31 great Kansans from every corner of our state. And if it wasn't for this caucus and how well it operates together as a team, it's a team sport. We don't always agree. We've seen that this session on numerous policy items, but we treat each other with great respect and understanding that we come from different districts, different backgrounds, different experiences, and all 31 bring a great asset to our team and to the Senate and to the state of Kansas. And so I just want to say thank you for the great privilege of serving as the majority leader of this caucus, because as you've stated many times, Mr. President, we've had numerous caucuses over the last several years that have not been as easy and team-oriented as this caucus. And so every single member of this caucus brings something unique to it, and I'm incredibly grateful to work with these great Kansans. I also want to thank you, Mr. President. There's a good chance you'll be on the second floor next year, and I just want to thank you for your leadership and your trust in me to be your partner in leading this chamber, as well as the vice president. You know, the three of us, we all come from different perspectives, and we don't always agree, but we work together to help lead this caucus in this chamber and hopefully the state to great things. And so I just want to thank the two of you for that opportunity as well. I have to thank Corey. Although the Senate Secretary reports to the President of the Senate, many of you might not know, the Majority Leader and the Secretary work probably more together just because of the floor operations and how the role of the Majority Leader works. So I just want to thank Corey and all his staff who work many hours long after we're gone, and they'll be here late tonight doing the journal and other documentations. We could not do without all of you. So I just want to say thank you very, very, very much, as well as the Sergeant of Arms and the many other people in this building who make this branch of government work. And Doris is behind me. Just another plug for Doris, 25 years. I think I was in first grade when she started. I also want to thank the Minority Leader and the Minority Party. You know, there has been some words said today over disagreements on policy, but we do have a good Minority Party. We have seen years where there's been members of the Minority Party and the Majority Party where it is just embarrassing. And so I think this chamber, despite its differences, sometimes is respectful. And unfortunately, the other side of the building, we can't say that today or this session. But the other Minority Party have done, they have fought for what they believe in, and I think with respect. And I appreciate sometimes their strong desire to challenge, maybe is the word I'm going to use, but I do want to thank the Minority Leader because her office and my office have to work together to ensure this machine is well-oiled and runs efficiently, to communicate and when we're caucusing and when we're on the floor and the policy items that come to the floor. And it's just used mostly to be efficient for everybody's time in this building. So we know time is valuable, and it takes a well-oiled machine to keep time moving and to get us out of here. This is the latest we've ever worked in our 2 years in this biennium, and I wish we could get out now, but we still have some work to do, and we'll get out soon. But maybe we'll get done before midnight, Mr. President. That's our goal, or at least that's my goal. Lastly, I just want to thank my team. Caleb Haig is new to my office. Where's Caleb? There's Caleb over there. Caleb has been very instrumental for me in our caucus. He's prepared documents. Now, we've moved our caucus in a lot of ways to being electronic, so thank you for everybody for their patience. But Caleb has put those packets together, and it takes sometimes a lot of work to do that, tracking down documents, and he's been a great member of our team, so I'm really appreciative of his work. Matt is over there, sitting behind the back wall. He's been a longtime friend of mine. We've known each other for over about 10 years now. A great counselor and confidant of mine to guide me. He's got a lot of life experience over me, and he can bring some valuable perspective, and I'm incredibly grateful for you, Matt. And then Logan is on this side of the chamber. I have to say, I can't say enough great things about Logan. You know, I wasn't a staffer, I think maybe 8 years ago, and Logan in many ways reminds me of myself when I was on staff. And it takes great staff to do a good job. And so I could not do this without my staff, your staff, the caucus staff. And I just want to say thank you to each of them, because without them, they're here early in the morning before I am, and they're here after I am. And I just want to say thank you to each of them, because without this caucus staff, we would not be able to have the caucus function as well as we do. So with that, Mr. President, I just want to say thank you.
Vice President Schellenberger.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sometimes I like to be frivolous, so it's really not much to be here before Majority Leader after he goes home. I mean, you know, he doesn't get here all that early. But I can tell you in the Vice President's office, we're having coffee with Senator Reichman and Senator Fagg and Senator Gossage long before some of you get here in the Capitol. And most of them are here way before me. So I appreciate all those of you who come by to see me every morning, and the people, the Hospital Association and the groups that supply the donuts and the coffee and all the stuff, for those of you who come. Next year, if we're all still back, you're welcome to come into my office. The one thing for sure is that next year when we start, we all won't be here. Life is fragile. You don't know from one day to the next where you'll be or what you'll be doing. And I can sit here right now and look at 4 people out of the 9 over there who are hoping they will not be back here next year. They're trying hard not to, and the president has his plans just to move down one story and take up office there. So some of you are going to make up it, some of you are not. Some of you I'm going to vote for, some of you are not. But if you win, I'm going to be with you all the way. I do want to thank Nanette, who is my office assistant, which many of you know, and Tyler Seeley, who works for me, one of the hardest working people in the building, really the person who got PBM reform done. He worked on it for over a year, and so I appreciate Tyler, who's somewhere. He's probably out watching the house. I do want to say that, like I said, life is fragile. We're all here for a very brief period of time. And I hope that all of our summers are good, that if you want to come back next year, you will. If you're running for something else, good luck to you. And I hope to see, I'm not going anywhere. So if you all were begging for me to make my farewell speech, you've got another year or 2 to wait for that. And I may run again because the Attorney General suggested that if I didn't vote right, he would beat me in a primary. And I want to take him on that one. So thank you, Mr. President, for all you do. It's been a very good session, I think. We didn't get everything done we wanted to. We got some stuff done we didn't want to do. But by and large, that's the way this system works. Thank you all very much.
And one of the good things about going last is most everybody's been thanked at least once. So, but I'll do it again. It goes unsaid, you know, what the revisors do, our researchers, even post-audit, our IT guys that are around the room. But the guys that are in the room, the Sergeant at Arms, thank you guys very much. So I got to tell you, and then also thank you to Corey and all the clerks that are all around. I always wonder what you guys are thinking. When you sit there, I mean, you are the flies on the wall, right? That watch the stuff that goes on in this room, and I always think, what are you thinking about this? But you always do a great job of poker face. So, but thank you for all the time and effort you put in. I debated whether or not to even say anything, because the only one thing that's true is I will be back one way or the other, right, next year, no matter what's seated in on it. But then things will change in this body next year, because some will not, right? There's always a change midterm. And I got to tell you, it has been an incredible honor to serve in leadership with this particular group, right? And I thought it not just incredibly honored that this Republican caucus, I never thought it could be this way. I say that with all sincerity. I've been around here long enough. I've seen a lot of different caucus, worked with a bunch, and I've never seen a group of people work as well together in whole, right? Of knowing we didn't always agree, and that's been seen many times, but it was just such a professional group. And then to be able to come in with Dinah, I just have tremendous respect for you. We came in as leaders together, right? The first year I was the president, you were the minority leader, and the way you have worked with us, I like the relationship we have. Corey, you too, just the ability, the communication we have, because we have very different agendas on some issues, but to be at face value and operating with integrity with each other, and the entire Democrat caucus. I've just, This is a really good group of people to work with. I wish politics worked like this every year. Tragedy is this is a moment in time, right? Elections are going to happen, changes are going to happen, and honestly, I'm starting to feel that a little bit this year with the House. I'd had a good relationship with the Speaker, and I felt like we were at face value for a lot of time. I felt as his leadership kind of waned over there, the tensions between the bodies have begun to build back up. And so I hope it doesn't get back to where it was, where there was just sheer disdain for each other, because that's a very negative thing to do. Other thank yous. I don't know if any of them are here, but thank you to our maintenance and janitorial staff, those guys that come in at night and they're the ones that don't see the thank yous and show up every night to make sure when we walk in, everything's ready for us. So special thank you to Rosemary, my Topeka mom. She's not here tonight, but she takes a lot of abuse on that phone for me. I mean, I've told her, when they start laying down the profanity, you don't have to take it, just hang up. But she takes a lot of abuse on that phone, particularly this year. She took a lot, and she deals with a lot. So also Jacqueline, our chief this year, I don't know how she does it, right? She's like my Caroline Levitt, right? Mom of 4, right? And she is balancing that and work and husband. I don't know how she does it, but she's been super efficient for me. She reminds me of my grandmother used to tell me, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. They'll figure it out. And that's been her. Mike's hit his stride this year in policy. Been super proud of how he's been communicating with all of you to keep policy moving. I think we finally found his groove there in policy. And then love to have Garrett bring in the energy and the youth and the sense of humor as a new one here. I've just been very blessed to have the staff. Even had a great intern this year with Gavin. So have not always had that, but he was a lot of fun. So with that, I feel humbled and blessed. I may be back here right where I'm at right now next year, but if I'm not, I guarantee I want to continue the relationship we have, right, moving forward, because I do think everybody here wants the best for Kansas. They want the best for their constituents. We just sometimes have a very diverging view of what that is and what makes it best. So I just say God bless you all. God bless you all, and thank you for each of your commitments to this chamber. And go thank your spouses and your families and your children. Go thank them too, because it is a sacrifice for you to do this and be here. So I just can't thank you enough. God bless you. And I don't know if we're going to recess or stand at ease. Senator from Sedgwick.
Mr. President, we just had a conference committee report show up. If you don't mind, we might just stand at ease for a moment.
We will stand at ease.
Senate will come to order. Chair recognizes the Majority Leader from Sedgwick, Senator Blasey.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. We cannot adjourn sine die without one more thank you. On the Senate floor, we have the Director of Legislative Administrative Services, Tom Day, over there hiding. Tom Day has served the legislature faithfully, I think, since 2015. Am I right, Tom? All right, 2015. He has served the legislature faithfully as our director of LAS. He is the guy that is one of the first people to welcome you to the legislature when you get elected, help you fill out all the paperwork, all these things if it's new to you. And Tom has been a huge asset for the legislature and a friendly face, and I just want to thank Tom for his many years of service, not only the state, at the KCC and various other roles, but also as the director of the LAS. And so, Tom, we wish you the best in retirement. I hope you are not a stranger. I hope when you're bored, you'll come back and maybe work as an office assistant or something, you know? We're going to be looking for one. But I just want to say thank you, Tom, for your many years of service.
Tom Day's been around a long time. 30 years after my first election is when he became LAS. Are there announcements before we recess? Of course, a motion to adjourn is always in order. Chair recognizes the Majority Leader from Sedgwick, Senator Blasey.
All right, Mr. Vice President, Senate Republicans will caucus for the final time this 2026 session at 11:30. And then we will recess to the sound of the gavel. With that, I yield to the senator from Douglas.
Senator Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. The Senate Democrats will caucus at 11:35. I yield back in our room at 287 North. I yield back to the senator from Sedgwick.
Senator from Sedgwick.
Mr. Vice President, I move the Senate recess until sound of the gavel.
For the motion, all in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We're at recess. Senate will come to order. Chair recognizes Majority Leader from Sedgwick, Senator Blasey.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I move an emergency be declared, the rules suspended, and House Concurrent Resolution 5008 be advanced to final action, subject to amendment, debate, and roll call.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Division has been requested. All those in favor, please stand. Opposed, please stand. (28) having voted in favor, 8 opposed. Motion carries. Carry HCR 5008. The chair recognizes the Senator from Butler, Senator Masters.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. This is, I'm actually, by the way, amazed those are still standing against property tax relief. This is, 5008 is from last year. It was the HCR, that was Rules and Regs, Constitutional Amendment. So we're just bringing that up as a vehicle. What I'm going to do, Mr. Chairman, will be more appropriate is I have an amendment, and it has been turned in, and it is 4681.
Senator from Butler, it appears to be a very popular amendment. Would you like to explain the amendment or have it read?
Yeah. So I'll explain this. I'll actually get a little backstory on it too. We'd sent an amendment over, was it just yesterday that we sent the amendment over? And this was what we were trying to figure out as Plan B if that amendment failed, which it did. What surprised us is they killed the vehicle as well. So this just there's a little bit of a vehicle here that we have. So this is the rolling average that you're hearing something about, that limitation on property. So this would it would empower the people to vote to allow for the rolling average to be a limitation to property. It does have authorizing language for the legislature because you need that for a couple reasons. You need to be able to determine how many years, is it average, is it mean, or even do you want to go that direction? So it does have that in it, but it is simply the rolling average. The House has been crying for that, and they want a chance to vote on it, so I'd like to send it to them.
Are there questions on the amendment? Chair recognizes Senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. So I understand that then both measures are in this. The legislature may provide for valuation limits, and there is also a mechanism for a rolling average.
Senator from Butler.
I'm not sure I'd describe it as both mechanisms. I mean, it describes the rolling average, but it does have authorizing language to allow the legislature, and you'll need that in order to describe it. And by the way, it doesn't take effect until 2028, so you have the 2020 legislative session determine how the representatives of the people want that to be implemented. And it's on the November ballot.
Senator from Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. But when I'm reading this in terms of one, the system of taxation. The last sentence that's underlined, which is new language, is the legislature may provide for valuation limits for any classes or subclasses of property. That is separate from this whole idea of rolling average, or you should be able to treat that separately. Is that the case?
Senator from Butler.
Yes, that is the case, and you have to have authorization for the legislature because the rolling average itself is a limit.
Senator from Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. That's, I believe, a concern because we're asking now the public to just vote to trust us to do anything with property taxes. Is that correct?
Senator from Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. That's what we do every even year, is ask for the people to vote and trust us, that we are their elected representatives, whether we're in the Senate or in the House. So that's what elections are for. That's what our responsibility is. This is empowering the people to empower the people that represent them. So yes, we are asking the people, like we do every even year, to trust us.
Senator from Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I think it's a little different to ask them to trust us when they have an opportunity in either 2 or 4 years to replace us. That seems to be different from trusting us to now have authority to oversee what had been before part of the Constitution. So I'm assuming that these last changes on pages 4 and 5 of the amendment are the explanation of vote.
Senator from Butler.
I'm going to have to look. It just got handed to me. That is correct.
Senator from Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I'm glad I might be able to speak a second time because I would like to take the time to make sure that that explanation really does reflect what people would be voting on. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator Johnson, Senator Corson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. So here we are at 12:02 with another gimmick. If the majority party had put as much time into actually crafting a real solution on property taxes than they have into playing these political games, we might actually be able to provide real, meaningful, immediate property tax relief for Kansas families. We've had 4 months to do it. Obviously, leadership and the majority party hasn't been able to get it done. So now we're here with just another political stunt that we're going to send over to the House. It'll go nowhere. We can all point fingers at somebody else. It's not exactly the buck stops here in the Senate. That's what kind of we've learned. When we debated the last bill, it was like, well, it's not our fault. It was this person's fault. It was that person's fault. So this is just going to be another gimmick. And this doesn't even provide immediate relief. All this does is say that some future legislature, by the way, while this summer you're going to be paying $5 a gallon in gas, everything's going to be more expensive. We're saying at some future point, somewhere down the road, several years later, a legislature might at some point decide to provide property tax relief. Mr. Vice President, Kansans need immediate property tax relief. This just kicks the can down the road further for some future legislature. That's what the last 6 legislatures have done under current leadership. This is just another gimmick that we're doing as a stunt in the middle of the night. I will be voting no on this stuff.
Are there other questions? Senator Johnson, Senator Sykes.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Again, I think this is the last hour, and this is, honestly, it's a slap in the face to Kansans, because this is saying we're going to do something. We don't know what that is, but it's not going to take 2/3, and we're not going to tell you what it is. The legislature can provide valuation limits for any classes or subdivisions of people. So again, we're going, we could do what they do in California, and housing is not very affordable in California because of that artificial cap. We could decide we want to have 2 years rolling. We don't even know what years those are. This is not true relief. This, honestly, last year, the House actually sent us a constitutional amendment that I think was bipartisan in the House. And I think if we had brought it up in the Senate, it would have passed bipartisan numbers over here. But this one is not giving anything. I don't even really see what the explanation statement is going to be on the ballot. Could the president share what that is?
Senator from Butler.
If I'm reading it on page 4, this amendment would require certain property, including residential, commercial, industrial property, agriculture improvements, mobile homes, to be valued for their property tax purposes based on the lesser of the current fair market value or an average of fair market values over a period of years. May reduce the impact of rapid increases in property taxes and property values, the number of years used to calculate the average value, and any adjustment in specific circumstances would be prescribed by law, is the first part of that, and it continues on.
Senator Johnson.
So as a voter who is reading this on, you said the November ballot, what does a yes vote mean to me as a Kansan? What does a no vote mean? In all other constitutional amendments, there's that explanation. What is that explanation? A yes vote means this, a no vote means this.
Senator from Butler.
So since this is amending the underlying, you would have to go look at the underlying bill, but it starts in the, after quote unquote would by striking all lines 26. That's what's in the amendment. So you'd have to go look at the explanation in the underlying to get the full explanation. But the result of a yes vote is we would be implementing a rolling average limitation to property with the details being described by law and authorizing the legislature to handle that.
Senator from Johnson.
So this was gutted on 5008. So this would have a different explanation. That was on rules and regulations. So again, I want word for word the language that Kansans would have on the ballot in November saying what a yes vote means and what a no vote means. So you can find, if it's not in 5008, whatever. Again, this is why we need a better KLIS system, because we need to be able to look at a bill and have all of that written when we are voting on something in the wee hours of the morning. So word for word, what does a yes vote mean and what does a no vote mean that Kansans will have on their ballot?
Senator from Butler.
Well, they're working on that, and we'll get that to you shortly if you'd like to.
Thank you. I will yield.
And for the record, I agree with the senator that we have a problem with KLIS.
Senator from Douglas. Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. So I do understand that the wording here would be replaced, but I'm concerned that the wording simply says, in terms of the explanation of vote, it says that this would require property to be based on the lower of the current fair market value or an average of fair market values over a period of years. Could the legislature say that that period of years is 1 year?
Senator from Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, in theory, the legislature could say that.
Senator from Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Because of that, I think that this explanation of vote does not really help voters understand what would happen, because it could be either that the amendment would require property based on the lesser of that average or an average fair market value. That could be 1 year, or it could be that the legislature itself could make those valuations. I would ask that we skip over this and wait for an amendment to be drafted.
Are there other questions or Chair recognizes Senator Johnson, Senator Holscher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, there was something said a little earlier that kind of concerned me. It was said that it's something to the effect of it's unbelievable that there are people standing against property taxes. And I just want, or property tax relief. And I just want to clarify, we are not standing against property tax relief. There's a body of people here that are standing for the people in terms of ensuring that we receive bills that we are able to thoroughly vet, that we are able to ensure gives adequate relief to the people. That isn't a gimmick. And there are people that are standing here that want to ensure that we fully fund our schools, general ed and special ed, that because in turn, that will make sure that property taxes go down. We are standing here to try to ensure that property tax relief is granted through the channels that we know work. And instead of getting these zombie bills at the last minute, late into session on the very last day, we could have done these things weeks ago. So no one is standing here against property tax relief. And I just want that to be clarified. What people are standing against is a process that, again, has not allowed thorough vetting of bills, that has brought forward, again, the squeezing of a balloon that just shuffles responsibility where we don't take on the obligation of fully funding schools and other infrastructure that we're supposed to do. So again, I just wanted that to be clarified. This body and people standing here are not standing against property tax relief for our people.
Chair recognizes the Senator from Meade, Senator Reichman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. When I was looking and listening, I think everybody here wants property tax. I just have a problem at midnight. And in it says, "Would the legislature may provide for the valuation limits for any classes or subclasses of property and have the people vote on it when you don't know exactly what it's going to be." I understand the last minute trying to get something over to the House, but my concern is that I like to know for sure what I'm voting on. And so I have a lot of problems with this. Thank you.
Are there other questions? Was it my understanding? Chair recognizes Senator Wyandotte, Senator Petty.
Thank you. My question is, are we waiting for some language so that we can see what actually the question would be?
Senator from Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, although it's starting to feel like a dance-off. So, well, welcome to all my House colleagues. Welcome to our chamber. I'm starting to feel like I got a little gang standing behind me, getting ready to go against the other side. But somebody starts snapping, I'm gonna have to cut you down. So, yeah, and why I am waiting. Apparently, there's some delay in getting the exact language, and I do want to provide that to you. But I would say, not standing against property tax relief is exactly what's going on. And it didn't last minute. We've been doing this for weeks and months. We've had multiple serious proposals, not only in front of this chamber, that have passed this chamber, but they fail in the House. That's what 1616 was. That's what 2475 was. There's been multiple serious attempts. Now, I think it's fine, almost humorous. They say this isn't real property tax relief, and then the comments are about what we need to spend money on. That's why property tax is so high. We have a spending problem. And we are really seriously taxing people out of their homes. Neighbor across the street from me, spending double in property taxes alone than what he had been for his mortgage, his interest, his insurance, and taxes combined when he paid his house off 20 years ago, paid his house off. You think you own property? Don't pay the tax man. You'll find out who owns your house. Here he was 90 years old, being taxed out of his house. And we're also killing them on the other end. First-time home buyer age just crested 40. We are robbing our children of the opportunity of growth in assessment. That is the underpinning of the middle class in this country. Home ownership. It's what sets us apart. It was in the 20s when I was in my 20s. It's over 40. Time value of money. The later you get started, the harder it is. We are literally robbing that from our children. And I have 6 children in this state, all adults, all choosing to raise their families in this state. So I have a vested interest in making sure they can afford to own a home. And all I get is rhetoric. This is a real opportunity. The House has been asking for a rolling average as a limitation. And this is an opportunity to send it. I thought we were going to do it yesterday or day before, right? But the vehicle was killed. So we're trying to scramble and find our own. So that's why it's a Hail Mary. Because it was the only vehicle we could find that was even reasonably acceptable to provide. We've been over and over sent real serious property tax relief. And we get empty words and no votes. Because a constitutional amendment takes a supermajority, which empowers the minority. And that's where we're at.
Senator from Wyandotte.
Thank you. I think that there's no legislator in this room that doesn't want to have good legislation coming out of the Senate. And when we have before us something that we can't even know what the question, what a yes vote would be or no vote would be if it was on the ballot, it makes it very, very difficult to know what we're voting on. And why would we want to be voting on something that then we have to go back to our constituents and say, yeah, we passed this and it's going to be on the ballot for you to vote on, but we don't know what it is. We don't know what we're voting on. So we can talk about wanting tax relief for our citizens, which everyone is looking at this and has been all session long. But if we don't have something that's makes sense before us, then, and it's after midnight on Saturday, why would we want to vote on that? Why would we want to pass a constitutional amendment that we don't even know what the question is?
There are other questions, comments? Chair recognizes Senator Johnson, Senator Corson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. The carrier brought up some good points. The unfortunate reality is that even if we pass this, that 90-year-old gentleman in Andover is going to be paying pretty much dollar for dollar the exact same amount of property taxes. Because what's going to happen with these artificial caps on the assessment is all the taxing entities are just going to raise the mill levy. So we're really just selling Kansans like that 90-year-old a bill of goods. People don't pay their property taxes in assessed value. They pay their property taxes in the amount of the check that they write. And the check that they write is not going to go down even when we pass this. So it's not going to take place for several years. And when it does take place, the check that Kansans are going to write is not going to be any smaller. So it's just another gimmick. It's just another game. It's just another way to kick the can down the road. And it's not going to lower the actual check that anybody in Kansas writes to pay their property taxes. And we should just be honest with Kansans about that. Thank you.
Senator from Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just got the explainer, so I was going to give that, but a little bit of comment there. There's some truth in that for that 90-year-old man, because it's this system we've had, the damage has been done to him and his life. This isn't going to reverse something for a 90-year-old man, and nobody expects that. But if we don't change it, it just continues. This is the first part of the prong that limits the massive increases. That's why he's in such a dire strait, because his assessments have gone up and up and up and up. And the truth is, his house might actually be worth on the open market what that is, but it's unrealized gain to him. That's not cash. He didn't get an income increase when he got a 20% assessment increase. We're not here to undo damage to somebody that's 90 years old. We're here to not do the damage to the one that's 19. And you have to close that first prong to close off those massive increases, to have some type of limitation so you can mitigate that unrealized gain. And we just passed a revenue limit bill, sent it over the House. That's your assessment side. That's your mill levy side. If we really are going to tackle the future of property tax, you have to close the front door and the back door. You have to mitigate the increases, the massive increases in the front door, and then you have to stop it from being excessive mill levy increases on the back and give them reasonable amounts of gain, because government does have to grow. We all saw that. That revenue limit gave massive amounts of potential to grow. But they work in unison. But why I've got it, so we can kind of wrap this up. A vote for this proposition would base certain property valuations on the lower of current value or on average value over time as prescribed by law, and allow for the limitations in the valuation changes for property. A vote against this proposition would make no change to the Constitution of the state of Kansas. That's what the explainer is. I don't think that feels too difficult.
Chair recognizes Senator Johnson, Senator Sykes.
Thank you. Thank you for making sure that we knew what that language was. Again, I have concerns. And the carrier keeps blaming the minority party, but he's overlooking the fact that it's Republicans, too, that are not voting for these ideas. I would say his ideas. One has to ask, who's the problem? The bipartisan members who are voting no, or the person who keeps doing the same thing over and over, expecting different outcomes? The House did send us a bill that had rolling average. It was 6-year rolling averages, and it had no caps. And it was declared materially altered. And that honestly started a feud between the House and the Senate trying to see who could pass this property tax. When I read this bill, I see possibilities for a property tax cap, an artificial cap. I see we could have a rolling average of 1 year. So this is not true relief. This is trying to push something through in the last minutes that we don't know the ramifications, and honestly, trying to get around making sure that Kansans have a vote in how their evaluations are determined. So I will vote no, partially because, again, I appreciate the explanation of vote, but this is the Wild West in constitutional amendments, and we did not really try to come to the room and find a true 6-year rolling average that the House sent us overwhelmingly with bipartisan support. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Chair recognizes Senator from Lynn, Senator Tyson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. So the ranking minority leader just stated that the House sent us a 6-year rolling average. I would ask what provision, what measure was that in? And if she says 5011, I would ask that she go read that language. There was no year defined in that rolling average. In fact, that rolling average was to be defined in statute a year later. So let's talk about what's brought us to this point. Last year, the Senate passed 1603, a constitutional amendment with a 3% cap. We sent it to the House, and the House told everybody that we got their language and buried it and wouldn't even look at it. We sent ours on February 6th last year. It sat in the House committee all year, no hearing, no nothing. The last day of session, sine die, they get permission from the Speaker to meet the tax committee, gut the bill, and put the rolling average in it. Okay, fine. In the meantime, the Senate is over here having a hearing on HCR 5011. We have the hearing. We worked the bill. We did not have the votes to get it out of the Senate Tax Committee, no matter how we tried. I think 2 Democrats and 1 Republican voted for it. That was it. We could not even get it out of committee. And the House, a handful of House members, not all, a handful, keep complaining that we did not send them their rolling average. How can you send them something that you can't even get out of committee, let alone run across the floor? So here we are tonight, Mr. President. We are debating sending the rolling average to the House. And I do not support the rolling average. You want to know a few reasons why? 1, a 3% cap versus a rolling average. Predictability. How is that for taxpayers? A rolling average versus a 3% cap. Well, we know what wins there, a 3% cap. Simplicity, transparency. Which one, a 3% or a rolling average? Well, I'll take the 3% any day for simplicity and transparency, because the 3% would have forced the governments to raise the mill levy with transparency. So we would have known exactly who and exactly why our property taxes were increasing. Mr. Vice President, I would also take the 3% for flexibility. It did allow local governments to remain in control. I could go on. There are many reasons to go with a 3% over a rolling average, but we saw tonight a handful of Democrats and Republicans refused to move on 1616. 68 House members can go home and hold their heads high because they fought for real property tax relief. And I say real because it was a baseline of 2022 valuations. Do you know what's happened since 2022 in our valuations? We're talking an average of residential property increasing 40%. Homeowners, 40% increase on their valuations. My home county, Lynn County, 91%, almost doubled in 4 years. And we're gonna say we're gonna send them a rolling average? Do you know what the average of high property taxes is? Yes, it's high property taxes. My constituents are not satisfied with that. But I am more than willing to take this vote tonight on this amendment and this resolution to send it to the House and put their money where their mouth is. As I said earlier tonight on this floor, I had spoke to the Oklahoma Farm Bureau president. I asked them for a program that they've had in place for decades, for over 30 years. They passed a constant value 5% in 1996. They came back and lowered it to 3% in 2012, a constitutional amendment. And I asked him, are you going to repeal that? And he said, why would we? It's working. I said, well, why would the Kansas Farm Bureau be against it then? It makes no sense, Mr. President. I don't understand where the math is. The math is that we need to protect our residents. In 1975 in Kansas, we passed ag value. We changed so that agriculture is no longer based on market value, it is on production value. So we have ag use value in 1975. Kansans voters stepped up and helped farmers and ranchers save their property. Well, we need to step up and save our homes. And that's what this rolling average does, Mr. Vice President. Again, I thank you, the 68 House members that realized how important that cap is, and I hope this body will stand strong and support the rolling average. As much as I don't like it, let's send a vote, let's send a message to those few members in the House that were holding out, Mr. Vice President.
Are there other comments? Seeing none?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just remind people where we are. This is moving the amendment. This is not voting on the bill. Right now, we are simply voting to basically gut 5008 and put this in it. So that's what this vote is right now. And I move my amendment.
You've heard the motion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Back on the constitutional amendment. Are there further questions? Chair recognizes Senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I wanted to let you know that I have sent alternative wording to the reviser. I'd be happy to share that. Or we could wait for that amendment to arrive.
Let's wait and see if anyone else has anything they want to say.
Mr. Chairman, given the late hour and the time that it's what we've seen with Kalis, I would actually ask that we call the question.
Motion to call a question is in order. How many hands? Seeing 10 hands. All in favor of calling the question, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. No. Ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Question has been called. This constitutes final action on HCR 5008. Clerk will read the title.
House Concurrent Resolution Number 5008, a proposition to amend Article 2 of the Constitution of the State of Kansas by adding a new section thereto.
Clerk will call the roll.
Alley. Argabright. Billinger. Blasey. Blue. Bowers. Bowser. Clays. Clifford. Corson. Dietrich. Erickson. Fagg. Fauskido. Francisco. Gossage. Haley. Hill. Holscher. Klemp. Cluse, Masterson, Miller, Murphy, Owens, Peck, Peterson, Petty, Rose, Reichman, Schmidt, Schallenberger, Shane, Starnes, Sykes, Thomas, Thompson, Titus, Tyson, Warren.
Call Senate has been requested. Seeing 5 hands, the call is in order. Members will be in their seats. Doorman will lock the doors. The clerk will call the roll.
Argabright,
We're trying to locate the senator from Lyon. Call of Senate is still on. Members will remain in their seats. Chair recognizes Senator Wyandotte. Senator Haley.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. For whatever it's worth, I did see the senator from Lyon during the break. He was getting his vehicle and told me he was heading back to Lyon. Had something to do with some cattle in the morning.
Senator from Wyandotte, you wish to be recognized?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. While we're waiting, could we have a preliminary count?
Preliminary counts 26 in favor, 13 opposed.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes the senator from Barton, Senator Blue.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. May I be excused to go get something from my office medicine? Be
You
right back.
may be excused. Chair recognizes Senator from Butler, Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Could I be excused for a minute?
You may be excused.
Thank you.
Point of order, Mr. Vice President. Would you like to explain where he's going? Or at least have an escort from Sergeant of Arms?
Chair recognizes Senator from Finney.
Mr. Vice President, I changed my vote to aye.
Request the call be raised. Call is raised. Any member wish to explain their vote? Explanation of vote. Senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. This was put on our desks not long ago. We're asked to be making a decision on a constitutional amendment, a very serious matter. I do have alternative language for the explanation on the ballot, because in fact, this system of taxation first says the legislature may provide for valuation limits for any classes or subclasses of property. The explanation should start with that phrase. The amendment would provide the legislature the authority, and then could, through establishment of a requirement, have property valued based on the lesser of the current fair market. I can't read all the words because it's more than 200. But I think it's also important when you say, we simply say, a vote against would make no changes to the Constitution of the state of Kansas. It would be important to say a vote against this proposition would retain the current classification of property outlined in the Constitution. It is our job to provide as much information as we can to the voters if we're asking them to vote on a constitutional amendment. I'm sorry we didn't allow that to happen.
Chair recognizes Senator Wyandotte, Senator Haley.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. No one's been more eager than I have, especially from this side of the aisle, to vote for meaningful opportunities for tax relief for real property. No one can say that I have not been as supportive, Mr. Vice President, of every measure, be it the petition, be it the constitutional amendment, be it appraisal. Every opportunity that has come by, I have eagerly supported and would have continued to. A simple question was asked during this very rushed, last-minute, unexamined amendment that's now before us. A simple question was asked, and that we know what the language would be that would be put before the voters come November. I think that was reasonable enough, and I don't like to be disingenuous with my constituency, eagerly anticipating some form of relief. I've got the 90-year-old that was referenced by the senator from Butler. In his district, I have that taxpayer too. And others along that line who are being taxed out of their home. But I can't go back to them without knowing what language specifically would be aye or nay, yes or no, for them to vote on. And this is not how, well, I guess it is how sausage is made. And this is bad government, and it's something that, as eager as I am to have seen some form of real tax relief afforded us, left me with a no vote on this particular measure. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Chair recognizes Senator from Johnson, Senator Sykes.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Explanation vote. This amendment is a last-minute Hail Mary attempt to pass property tax relief without any real plan to provide substantial property tax relief to the people of Kansas. Here we are again at the end of another session with the majority party failing on their promise to voters to provide real relief and ease the hardships Kansans are facing. Kansans deserve better than a last-minute, half-baked constitutional amendment that we didn't even have the language on before we came on the floor at 11:45 p.m. If this is good policy, why are we pushing it to pass in the dead of the night? I vote no.
Chair recognizes Senator from Leavenworth, Senator Clem.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. So, having been through this process and going through it, I'm a little new to this process, but I'm very pleased that we have moved something through this body that allows the taxpayers, the same ones that elected us, to have a say, especially if it makes it through the House. We're kicking something over to our partners to have a real opportunity at tax relief. Every door in every county, maybe not every door in every county, but a majority of doors in every county have been asking for relief from the pain of property tax. The amount of no's that we've had at the expense of not giving our constituents something that is meaningful is disappointing. I'm very pleased to vote yes to move this forward, to allow our House an opportunity to move this bill forward and provide tax relief for the folks that continue to send us a very clear message. Give us some relief. We're in pain and we cannot afford to stay in our homes. I'm very pleased to take this vote as a yes, and I appreciate moving this forward with 27 votes.
Chair recognizes Senator Finney, Senator Clifford.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. With his permission, I'd like to add to the comments of Senator from Leavenworth.
So ordered. Chair recognizes Senator Johnson, Senator Holscher.
With her permission, I'd like to add to the comments of the senator from Johnson, Senator Sykes.
Ordered. Is there further explanation of vote? Is there further change of vote? Seeing none, the clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. (27) having voted in favor and 12 opposed, the passage of HCR 5008. This measure having received the required constitutional majority is hereby declared passed. Messages from the House. Clerk will read.
The House adopts the Conference Committee report on SB 82.
So are we ready to do 82? Is Ty ready? Ty's doing it. Chair recognizes Senator Butler, Senator Masterson. So, Senate Bill 82.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the Senate adopt the Conference Committee report on Senate Bill 82. Senate Bill 82 was a bill that got sent back to committee by the House because they wanted to remove one provision that we'd agreed to, which was the extension, 2-year extension of RAWs. So we allowed that removal, and they now passed it to us. It includes the ethanol tax credit, the child care tax credit, the gun storage tax credit, and that repeals unused tax credits with the exception of the environmental compliance tax credit. And I'd stand for questions.
Other questions? Senate Bill 82. I recognize the Senator from Sherman, Senator Bellinger.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Question, does this end the RAWS program?
Senator from Butler.
I believe it does allow it to expire. I think it will, with those 2-year extension removed, I believe it will expire at the end of this calendar year, or not calendar, fiscal year.
Senator from Sherman.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I'm disappointed that the House would want to do away with this program. The last time we redistricted, I had the only district in the state that didn't change. The only one. And I happen to think that the reason that the population is kind of leveled off in rural Kansas is because of the RAWS program. And it really doesn't cost a whole lot of money. Some of the counties choose to go ahead and pay some student loans. And generally, those counties, it's $1,500, and then the state matches at $1,500. And they generally have quite a number of folks apply, and they only have one or two that they give. But the peanut of RAWS is people that move into our rural districts from another state have 5 years of zero income tax. And, you know, that's a pretty good carrot to bring someone in. And one of the counties out there, Greeley County, they were able to attract a doctor. And this doctor, you know, it was the carrot, but it was also the people and the opportunity for him to work there in western Kansas. And you know, Mr. Vice President, he had to really sell his wife on moving out there. He says, you know, when little Tim gets 6 years old and wants to take two of his buddies to McDonald's for his birthday, that's over 60 miles one way. And oh, by the way, if they need shoes, that's another 60 miles one way. So I think there's a lot of opportunities with this. I'm disappointed this happened. And I think I'll spend a little time working to try to get something similar back in there, because I do think it's something good for rural Kansas. Thank you.
Are there further questions? Seeing none, you've made your motion. We'll hold for final action. Chair recognizes Senator from Butler, Senator Masterson on House Bill 2535.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I move the Senate adopt the Conference Committee report on House Bill 2535. 2535 itself was a shell. What contained in it now is some local sales tax authorizations for Labette County, Leavenworth County, Butler County, and an extension of the freeze of the apportionment between county and city is what it contains now. And a little explainer, we actually have a broader local or county bill that has been run through the system, it's Senate Bill 33, but it had several other counties in it. And the conference committee was just, the conferees were deciding that if the House was serious about property tax relief, we'd be serious about giving counties a bunch of sales tax authority. But at this point, these are down, it's pared down to counties that have been serious about it. So that's why it's those three. It's Labette, Leavenworth, Butler, and then the other one applies to other counties, the freeze of the apportionment for 1 year. And that's what's in 2535.
Other questions? Chair recognizes Senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Thank you. I'm wondering if the senator from Butler could give us any information on the counties that were represented in the conference committee and how that decision was made on which counties to include and which counties to exclude from having this sales tax authority.
Senator from Butler.
See, I think on that conference you had Johnson, Sedgwick, and myself as Butler. I don't remember what all was in 33, and we're talking about this one, but the paring down was really tied to, frankly, representatives that voted no on property tax relief. And if those representatives for those counties voted no, we didn't include the sales taxes. They apparently think that property tax is sufficient.
Senator from Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. There was talk some years ago, I haven't heard much of it lately, that taxes should be a three-legged stool. And for members of this legislature to say, we, in our opinion, believe that you don't need sales tax because you have property tax, does not help when someone's trying to use more than one way to pay for services and have that spread more equally among taxpayers. There's going to be some counties where sales tax could make a difference, others where it does not. But I don't believe that we should be picking and choosing among those requests that were made and requests that were included in bills that the legislature, or at least one body of the legislature, passed.
Chair recognizes Senator Johnson. Senator Holscher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, I just want to point out that with this bill, Johnson County, it appears kind of got negatively impacted. And we do have several Johnson County senators in this room that maybe voted a little differently on some of these different bills. I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here, and I will just say I'm pretty excited this day is about to come to an end, but I am kind of troubled overall that a lot of issues important to the people of Kansas have been ignored, and here we are again at the very end of session, and so many things that could have been done. And I guess just a couple of examples. Medicaid expansion is supported by 70% of Kansans, but this body refused to consider it. And we have forfeited $7 billion in federal funds. Medicinal cannabis is supported by 70% of Kansans, but that won't even be considered by this body. 2/3 of Kansans believe immigrants contribute positively to the economy, yet bills were forced through that instill fear and make our neighbors feel less safe.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. We're discussing local sales tax on counties.
And to that point, we have an affordability crisis where relief is being sought by our people. And we have not found substantive action to take for everyday Kansans. But we did find a way to promise billions of state money to the billionaire Hunt family.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. We're not discussing stadiums.
My hope is, though, that we return next year and we have a renewed commitment to help the people that we were elected.
Senator from Johnson will discuss.
And I will be voting no on this bill because, again, it doesn't fulfill that promise to the people to deliver the relief, to deliver affordability factors. Thank you.
Further discussion? Seeing none, you've made your motion. Hold for final action. We're ready for final action. On this roll call, we'll take the following: the Conference Committee report on House Bill 2535 and Senate Bill 82. Clerk will read the title.
House Bill 2535, current title, an act concerning crimes, punishment, and criminal procedure. Pending title, an act concerning sales and compensating use tax. Senate Bill 82, current title, an act concerning rural emergency hospitals. Pending title, an act concerning taxation.
Clerk will call the roll.
Alley. Argabright. Billinger. Blasey. Blue. Bowers. Bowser. Clays. Clifford. Orson. Dietrich. Erickson. Ag. Voscato. Francisco. Gossage. Haley. Hill. Holscher. Klemp. Cluse. Masterson. Miller. Murphy. Owens. Peck. Peterson. Petty. Rose. Reichman. Schmidt. Schallenberger. Shane. Starnes. Sykes. Thomas. Thompson. Titus. Tyson. Warren.
Every senator had an opportunity to vote. I recognize Senator from Sherman, Senator Billinger.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I passed on CCR RB 82. I am a director on a board for an ethanol plant, so I passed on this. Thank you.
Further explanation of vote. Chair recognizes the senator from Cloud, Senator Bowers.
Change of vote allowed?
Yes.
Yes on 82.
Chair recognizes Senator from Johnson, Senator Sykes.
I want to explain my vote on 2535. A portion of this bill that was put in conference committee 2643 did not pass a single chamber, the House or the Senate, nor did it have a bill hearing. So we are picking and choosing, as the carrier of the bill said, based on how members voted. So I vote no.
Further explanation of vote. Chair recognizes Senator Finney, Senator Clifford.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Just for full transparency, I'm not a director of an ethanol plant. However, I am a very small-time investor. However, I think these tax credits, I know these tax credits are exceptionally valuable, and production of ethanol in Kansas is great for our producers, great for our cattlemen, and it's certainly great for my district, so I vote aye. Thank you.
Further change of vote. Further explanation of vote. Seeing none, the clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Thirty having voted in favor and 8 opposed to passage of House Bill 2535, 36 having voted in favor and 2 opposed, Senate Bill 82. These measures having received the required constitutional majority are hereby declared passed. Stand at ease for just a moment.
Senate will return to order. Are there any final announcements? Senator from Sherman, Senator Billinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just would like to take a moment to thank the revisers and the research. They started on budget work in September. And they've been full blast since September. So I just want to thank them. We're just so fortunate to have those folks. Are great. And LHS and Corey and all of the staff here, thank you. You're all great. And again, I want to thank all the members of the Senate Ways and Means. They're hardworking, and this was a short session. And all the subcommittees and all the committees that went ahead and did budget work for us this year, thank each and every one of you. And I'd like to thank my Chief of Staff, Nancy, and my OA, Donna. And thank you all for putting up with me. Appreciate you.
Seeing no further announcements, and I'm hopeful this is my final time to do this. So Chair recognizes the Majority Leader from Sedgwick, Senator Blasey.
Thank you, Mr. President. Take a look at everybody. This is probably it, the last time this class is together. This, it's the middle of a biennium, or middle of our term. There's a good chance some people may depart for one way or another, but it's been a great Senate the last 2 years. And today is sine die, which in Latin means without day, for those who are interested. I move the Senate adjourn, sine die.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. As President of the Kansas Senate, I declare the 2026 session adjourned. Sine die.